In this lesson, we will be discussing the topic dividing decimals. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to answer the question, how do I divide decimals? In the first example, we are dividing 45.16 by 2.1. We set it up similar to when we're dividing whole numbers. This first number is the one that goes inside the division symbol. And we're dividing that by 2.1, which goes on the outside. When dividing decimals, the important thing to remember is that this number is what we want to be a whole number. Okay, this 2.1, we need to make that into a whole number. And the way we do that is we're actually multiplying by 10. And what multiplying by 10 will do is it moves the decimal point one place to the right to make that 21. However, if we move that decimal one place to the right, that means we also have to move this decimal one place to the right. Okay, so now if I rewrite the problem that we're going to be dividing, it's now 451.6 divided by 21. Okay, so we've made the number we're dividing by into a whole number. The only other difference between dividing decimals and dividing whole numbers is that our answer is probably going to have a decimal in it somewhere. And that decimal takes the original one and moves it straight up into the answer. Okay, so our answer should have a decimal point at that point. Now when we're dividing, it's very important to make sure that we have the correct numbers written in the correct spot. And I'll talk about that as we go through this example. So we start out just like we would with dividing whole numbers by asking how many times does 21 go into 4? And it doesn't, so I put a little X above the 4. So next we ask how many times does 21 go into 45? You can divide that on your calculators, or I'm just going to add it on the side. Okay, and I noticed that 21 goes into 45 2 times. So I'm going to write a 2 on top. We know that after you divide, the next step is to multiply. 2 times 21 is 42. After the multiply step is the subtract step. 45 minus 42 is 3. And 21 cannot go into 3, so we bring down the next number, 31. Now we're going to start this process all over again. 21 goes into 31 one time. 1 times 21 is 21. We're now at the subtract step. We subtract to get 10. 21 cannot go into 10, so we bring down the next number. Now we start this whole process again, one more time. How many times does 21 go into 106? Again, you can divide that on your calculator to figure out how many times. I'm just going to add it on the side here. And I find that 21 goes into 106 5 times. And 21 times 5 is 105. So we subtract to see how much is left over, and we get 1. Okay, so we have 21.5, and we're going to take that 1 and still make a fraction with it. Okay, so we will end with an answer of 21.5 and 1 over 21. Now, if we try to decide if this answer is reasonable, If we look at our original problem, 45.16, we can say that's right around 45. We can divide that by, let's see, 2.1. We can approximate that to be 2. Now on your calculator, if you do 45 divided by 2, you're going to get 22.5. And our answer is very close to that, 21.5 and 1 over 21. So this answer is correct and reasonable. Let's look at another example together. We're dividing 92.31 by 3.9. So if I write this out, my 92.31 is inside the division symbol. 3.9 is on the outside, the number we're dividing by. So if we think back to that last example, the first thing we have to do is make sure this is a whole number. Okay, so if you remember, in order to make 3.9 into a whole number, we have to multiply by 10 or move that decimal one place to the right. And in moving that decimal one place to the right, we need to move the one inside to the right. Okay, and then we bring it straight up into the answer. So let's rewrite this. We have 923.1 divided by 39, and our decimal should come straight up into our answer. Okay, so now it's just like doing whole numbers again. We follow our steps. 39 goes into 9 0 times, because 9 is too small. Now we have to decide how many times does 39 go into 92. Well, again, on your calculator, you can divide 92 by 39. On the side, I'm just going to add my 39s up. And I find that 39 goes into 92 2 times. And 2 times 39 is 78. So now we're at the subtract step, so we can determine how much is left over. 92 minus 78. We have to borrow from the 9, make it an 8. 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 8 is 4. 8 minus 7 is 1. So we have 14 left over. Now we're going to start this process over again because 14 is smaller than 39, so we need to bring down the next number. And now we have to figure out how many times 39 goes into 143. I'm going to continue my work over here. And I find that 39 goes into 143 3 times without going over. So I put a 3 above. 3 times 39 is 117. And now we're at the subtract step. I'm going to borrow from the 4 and make it a 3. My 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. I'm bringing down my last number, which is a 1. Notice I didn't worry about the decimal at all. Okay, I'm just working as if they're whole numbers. So now we have to figure out how many times 39 goes into 261. So again, on your calculator, you can divide your 261 by 39. I'm going to continue my work again over here. And I find that 39 goes into 261 6 times. And 6 times 39 is 234. So now we're at the subtract step. I'm going to borrow from the 6, make it a 5, so my 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 5 minus 3 is 2. There are no numbers left to bring down, and 27 is smaller than 39. So we cannot go on. We're just going to write 27 39ths after our decimal. Now notice, just to double check our place value, above the 9, we have an X. Above the 2 is a 2. Above the 3 is a 3. We have a decimal point. And then above the 1 is a 6. So our digits are lining up, okay, so that we make sure we have our decimal point in the correct spot. And just to check the reasonableness of this answer, if I round 92.31 to 90, and we round 3.9 to 4, on your calculator, if you divide 90 by 4, you are going to get 22.5. And our answer, 23.6 and 27.39, is very close to that. So again, we did a great job. Our answer is correct and reasonable. Here's an example I would like you to try on your own. So you can pause the video and work on this. Then I'll go through the answer in a couple minutes. So please pause now. Okay. When we set this problem up, we originally have 3.425 being divided by 2.2. And hopefully you remember to make that 2.2 into a whole number. That number would have the decimal point over one spot, as well as the one on the inside, the decimal point would be over one spot. So the new problem that we would set up would be 342.5 divided by 22. So now that we have it set up correctly, let's make sure our division process is correct also. So 22 cannot go into 3, but 22 does go into 34 one time. Now the multiply step says we take 1 times 22, which is 22. And now we can subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 22 cannot go into 12, since 12 is smaller. So we bring down our next number. We're going to start this process all over again. To do that, we ask how many times 22 goes into 122. You may use your calculator to divide that. I'm going to do my work on the side. And I find that 22 goes into 122 5 times without going over. So I put a 5 on top. 5 times 22 is 110. So now we subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. 12 is less than 22. So we bring down our next number, which is 5. And now we have to determine how many times does 22 go into 125. Again, you can use your calculator if you would like. If I look at my work over here, I know it's going to be 5 again. If I multiply 22 and 5, I get 110. I subtract to see what's left, and I get 15. There are no numbers left to bring down. So now I need to write my fraction, which is 15 over 22. I forgot one thing originally. If I have my numbers lined up correctly, I should know where this decimal point goes in my answer. Okay, I forgot to do that right away. We can still figure out where it goes at this point. Okay, so if we look at above the 3 is an X, above the 4 is a 1, above the 2 is a 5, the decimal point will go right there between the 5 and 5. So our final answer is 15.5 and 1520 seconds. Now, if we were to estimate this, I would look and say, if I estimate 3.425 and make that 3, and divide by 2.2 and make that 2, on your calculator, if you divide 3.2 or 3 by 2, you get 1.5. My answer seems to be really, really far off. So I need to take a look at, let's start with my decimal point. Did I put it in the right spot? Over here, I noticed that I added 2.2, so I moved it one spot to make it 22. And the second part, I moved it one spot to make it 34.25. When I did my problem, I moved the decimal point over too far. Okay, so we need to adjust that and say that that decimal point should be here, and this decimal point should be there. And now our answer is going to make more sense. Okay, by checking the reasonableness of my answer, I was able to find out a mistake and fix it, right, which is what I expect and hope that all of you are able to do also. So now if we look at this, our answer should be around 1.5, and we got 1.55. And that is very, very close. So we did a great job of finding our mistake, fixing it, and coming up with the right answer of 1.55 in 15-20 seconds. I hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck as you work on dividing decimals.